Everfrog Esports trying to find what angle they can, trying to find somebody out of position.
We're gonna go through on this. Oh, what a roll. We're gonna take black. See White gonna go in.
It's going to be a really, really interesting one.
Oh my god. All of this competition could be so damn close, so I cannot wait for us to finally decide who's going to be the champion. We are expecting some chaos, some great moments.
A beast mode has killed 3. Only gonna really need that rampage, so it's gonna clear it out. Safety gonna get themselves a big old 4K. Oh. 15 getting rid of 3, clearing out the house.
That is crazy.
Nunji actually kills 3 people.
This team feels entirely different on this faster composition. Now Saga is hanging around, getting onto the high ground. Post bomb's gonna stick under Leaky. You're not gonna be able to survive it at the end of the day. Blue manages to find a 3K.
Rio shoving this Ana into a corner. Woo! One more for the road for Rio.
That is all signs go. Melophobia with 3 Melophobia. Start the fight. They'll end the fight. Oh my god. Beagle Bus, they have to play aggressively into this energy. Popping off in a moment where you needed just that. Ruby in that backline. Oh, the flick. Looking for it. Oh my goodness. The 4th one as well. Do they get the ace? They get the ace.
From Cain and Abel to Ownhar and Bret Hart, sometimes siblings can't help but fight, and today is no different. 2 teams from the same org will be clashing in round 1 of the winners bracket of the EU GM tier, and decide which one of them will go forward to try and become the grand champions. My name is Gio. I'll be casting for you today, joined by my lovely little cherub, Egder. How are you doing?
Cherub, that is diabolical work. Yeah, I mean, you're talking about the topic of brothers, right? And, you know, I'm thinking the story of Romulus and Remus right now. Because we know that it's not called Ream, it's called Rome, right? And when we're looking at Bliss Marauders versus Bliss Excelsior, yeah, there's... Marauders look a bit more Roman, and Excelsior look a bit more Reman, for lack of a better term, to be honest. The numbers don't look good, is all that we will say, right? Bliss Marauders, they have just been sweeping through this season. They are the front runners, they are the championship contenders by far, and no one's even become particularly close. You know, they've had maybe a couple of maps taken off of them at best, but you know that when you're clawing, you're looking at a team and you're clawing for anything to get them on, and that thing is they've lost a few maps. You know you're clutching at straws here, right? Bliss Excelsior, in comparison, have struggled a bit more. Lots of losses in the first couple of weeks of the season, losing big to the Bliss Marauders in the past as well. So a lot of things that are going to have to be changed, a lot of tape that's going to have to be reviewed from those matchups for Bliss Excelsior to make a dent today.
I absolutely agree. I mean, Bliss Marauders have had a brilliant regular season. However, I always love to say it, when it comes to the playoffs, all that matters is how you play on the day. And Marauders have had one major trip up, and that's the fact that they lost in the mid-season finals against Canados. So those maps that they lost it there, and it was not great. Canados are the mid-season champions, so Marauders, they'll be looking for revenge. That's for damn sure. But we have a little bit of an announcement because, as you know, CGL has its lovely partner tournament of Kunoichi, and that is coming up soon. So, Kunoichi, again, console and PC, April 25th to 27th, that is next weekend. You've got Diamond, you've got Masters, you've got Open Tiers, and there is a prize pool of $250. So check that out. Go to the link there. There's more info in the Discord. If you're already in the CGL Discord, you can check that out. If you've been in it before, you know how it goes. So definitely keep an eye out for that, because that's going to be a big weekend of matches in Kunoichi Cavalry, spelt with a K. Oh, how lovely. But yes, lots of overs to be played, but let's bring it back to this one, the GM tier, and to these teams today, because, I mean, Excelsior need to bring something truly extraordinary out if they want to be Marauders.
Yeah, and they do have the advantage of a relatively deep roster. Looking at kind of the hero pools of these players, they're able to play a variety of tanks. They would prefer to play the brawlier style, but we have some kind of game tape recently as to what has been more dominant. And hero bans always throw a bit of a wrench into things. I think when there's hero bans, there can't ever be like one definitive meta, because you can always just pick and choose the bits to take out of that, right? But we're seeing a lot of Winston and we're seeing a lot of Diva. Maybe it's a Korean influence, maybe it's a Kuffa influence, but regardless, that's what we're seeing most of the time. So Brawl, especially at Bliss Excelsior, their tank's favorite character is Reinhardt, which is like saying my favorite thing to do every morning when I wake up is to smash my face into glass panes over and over again and then eat the glass. It's not a fun one for him. So I'd be interested to see how they can force the Brawl. They'd have to be very tactical with their bans, but again, it's not like Marauders don't have the opportunity to just do that themselves. They themselves big fans of the Junker Queen as well. Junker Queen, one of the tanks which we didn't see get like any playtime, which is odd because most tanks did. You know, mostly Winston Diva, but there was room for Ramatra, Hazard, Malga. Unfortunately, the rumors of his death were greatly exaggerated, but we see a bit of everything. Queen, not really something that we saw coming out, but still, I don't think, especially considering the tier we're in, which is especially considering the tier we're in, it's not like you can't get away with just playing like a Queen and doing well with it. I don't think Queen's ever a bad character per se. It's just always a bit. Queen comps are just a bit one-dimensional. You know what I mean?
I love Queen, but historically, I do love eating glass. Let's have a look through the window into one of our first teams here and see who we have. As we have our starting roster for Bliss Marauders, you'll have DJW and Sorer 2K as the DPS lineup. You've got Sha. I thought that was a T for a moment. I almost had a major blunder. Shad there, and you've got that Pig Whips and Rooney in the back line here. Bliss Excelsior, on the other hand, their roster is locked in and ready, and they have their starting five. We've got Seraphim, and Larvenilum. My god, I need to check the pronunciation of these ones real quick. We've got Nepu. I'll go for Ik. Ikben Online. Okay, shout out to Aimbot Kevin on that one. Ikben Online and Tark on the back line. And I doubt we'll see a Brig Ilari backline. I'm sure this is just for show.
Let him cook. Let him cook. Let him cook. If Gala can do it, then there's no reason that there's no reason that Tarkalan can't. You know.
I've noticed that they have BX in brackets. That kind of harken back to wrestling. It makes me have like kind of DX vibes. Maybe they'll be the one crotch chopping and saying "suck it" to their older brother.
Yeah, I mean, we got Bliss Excelsior, we got Bliss Marauders, who might as well be the BWO at that rate. It's a matchup again. Very teams from the same org, cut from the same cloth, but maybe made of slightly different materials. Just looking at the numbers, I'm glad. I want to be proven wrong. You know, I want to see fight. That's the main thing. I don't think Bliss Excelsior is expected to win this, but get your fights, get your reps in, play against a really good team, and put in a damn good performance. It's easier said than done, but that's the best you can hope for. And you know, you can walk away with a smile on your face if you make things a little bit competitive. First map banned. What am I talking about? First map going to be Busan. Flexible in its styles. Every point brings something a little bit different. Controlling the, you know, you have so much open space on, say, downtown. and Sanctuary to control, versus Mecha Base, where you can really lean into a Ramattra or a Junker Queen to take advantage of the high ground and the enclosed space. We are going to be moving on to our hero bands as well. And again, this is going to be a pretty big deal. And Sojin, Kiriko banned out. So Sojin ban, I always feel like the DPS ban has the less amount of impact than tank and support, right? Because Sojin is very strong, but replaceable, right? Ashe can do sort of the same job with just a bit less mobility, and like a little more consistent poke in exchange for slightly less burst. Kiri isn't that easily replaceable. Your grandeur of running your Lucio Kiri aggressive Winston style comps are now dead and buried. You might want to be thinking, do we run some kind of Juno Brig variant instead? There's a lot of flexibility to be offered here. And I'm interested to see how these teams will adapt around these bans now. Again, I'm just intrigued as to why the Sojin ban specifically here. You know, because banning Sojin doesn't preclude the other team from playing their style if they still really want to.
Yeah, in the kind of sphere of these matches, I've seen Sojin be banned when they want to prefer to play either a double flex DPS comp or go for the Cassidy. Cassidy's been like a replacement here and there. But we will find out very shortly as we will be getting into this matchup. Very much this is Marauders one to win it, but can Excelsior do what seems to be impossible and strike blood against their fellow org mates?
It's exactly what you've said, right? Regular season, great. All those numbers in the back are good. Are they going to give you a indication for your future? Not necessarily. That's the issue. You have to perform on the day. We've seen it, in the most recent tournament before. Nightmare dethroning Crazy Raccoon, only for Crazy Raccoon to then come back and beat them in the rematch later on, right? It's how you perform on the day which is going to matter the most, and we're going to open things up here. Variation between these teams, celebrating Easter in the only way they know how, playing some good old-fashioned Overwatch.
Yeah, but you don't want to be laying eggs, you want to be laying the pain onto your opponent. And DJW saying, hey, Seraphim, go back to spawn real quick for me, because I just want to be completely free and open as this Widowmaker. And that's going to happen. Basically just the aim trainer working out there. The point hasn't yet unlocked, so the fight is still ongoing, but with DJW again, finding a Tracer with the headshot, that's amazing. Nepu does take out the threat, but that's them lost a DPS again, so they don't have this extra pressure. They're just going to have to back up and hope the Nepu can stay alive. That's a great wall, but the anti-nade onto Nepu. That's practically the final nail in this coffin, but it's holding on by a thread. Meanwhile, Shaz just forcing them back there into the choke. DJW just continues to roll.
Yeah, everyone's got a plan until you get shot in the face, and this is a Widowmaker's playground. This point, DJW being the biggest kid in the playground for whatever reason, and a Winston is a lot better at pressuring out an enemy Widow than a Hazard is, as DJW just casually wins another fight before it's even begun. I mean, like, the Hazard has all that open space to cross, and the leap isn't particularly vertical; it's just horizontal. And you need to go up and over to get the Widow out of the game, which you struggle to do. Nepo recognizes this, goes to the Winston.
Goes to Winston, post-bomb blocked, as Zyma's so far in the back line, and Nikbin online is going to be able to very easily do their job, play bouncer, and say, you're not getting into this club. Very close to DGW finding the head of the Ana. Is going to have to back up momentarily there, but they don't have sight lines on their own Winston, who goes very low, but their DPS are running the show. That's going to get them this point flip.
Yeah, good play from the DPS. It was Zyva who went a bit too aggressive. You kind of had your gambit with the pulse bomb. When that didn't work out for you, I feel like you just needed to get out Seraphim was able to equalize the Widow duel, and DJW is not a fan of that. Makes it a 3-1 on this occasion. Widow pressure going to be firmly on the side of Bliss Marauders to go into the rest of the fight.
Yeah, Primal Rage ready as well, but that's going to be immediately the defensive ultimate of the rally used. Larv, meanwhile, is going low on that off angle, but Nepu has found DJW. Meanwhile, though, the Primal Rage is working wonders here for Excelsior as they continue to press the issue. Has also taken Seraphim out, so they can very easily flip this over. Just need to finish up some of the remaining members like the Ana. Nepu is just making it a little bit difficult, but is going to have to back up in the end.
And that's what we call guerrilla warfare, ladies and gentlemen. The Winstons of each team's going kind of crazy for a moment there, but trading backlines only gets you so far when one team just kind of trades backlines a little bit more. Zyva, you are... that's some confidence right there. I'm thinking, you know, the sleep was locked and loaded, but we got a little bit lucky to be just fine, and now Bliss Marauders is going to continue to advance the pressure. Seraphim able to get a key opening pick.
Yeah, Bruni gone, you don't have your rally, I mean, and the fact that Peg is so low as well, and it's going to go down. Both support ults were ready in that fight, and they haven't used them, which, to be fair, they'll have them in the next fight to retake, but a bit of a disaster.
I mean, yeah, I feel like when the Brig just goes down instantly, Ana, I think, took a body, and that was called out, Nepo get onto it. You're better off just saving the ults, right? Bliss Excelsior, they have a couple of tools to work back with, but I think this Pulse Bomb from Alvin, if it can hit, you got a good chance. If not, I think that Nano Winston and the rally is going to be a bit too insurmountable for you.
There's the balls, perfectly placed. DJW takes immediately. I mean, Zyva has got a little bit of the trade there because that recall was used quite early from Alvin. Meanwhile, the Nano Monkeys worked wonders on point to force them into this position. Trying to whip them off the map there with that rally, didn't quite work out, and the Primal Rage is running against this vanguard of a not German woman, she's not German. Oh, what a shot! DJW 2 headshots in a row! That might be enough here for Marauders to actually take control as Excelsior are just on the back foot, my lord!
Oh my god, someone get DJW a mop, because they're just dribbling all over the members of Bliss Excelsior right now. 3 headshots in the final fight to clean things up. Seraphim was able to match it for quite a while. Let's roll the dice for the next one. Ion Sanctuary, yes, okay, unlucky. Unlucky, Bliss Excelsior, because the Widow also works particularly well here too. I was hoping, like, okay, you go to Mecha base, the Widow's not too much of an option. DJW, again, Seraphim's been doing a good job, but DJW is just getting a little bit better in these Widow duels, and that's not necessarily just a mechanic diff from the Widow. You know, like, you need your team to be calling out positioning, you need them to be helping consistently, but now they're actually going to go for something a little bit unique here. They're going to be running the Sigma, but they're going to be running it in quite an aggressive, brawly style, or at the very least a bunker of some kind.
Yeah, and if they can watch their angle, then they could create like a 4v5 in scenarios where they can just very quickly against the backline. You already see that they were just absolutely gunning for them, using that Lucio speed to get to the backline. They're taking a lot of part to get there. The Mega's still available for the side of Excelsior's, and I mean, I see the inspiration. It just kind of melted away like paper mache in the ring.
I was worried for a moment because, you know, Bliss Excelsior hadn't scouted the comp and they sent Nepu to point. But then the moment that Nepu realized what was happening, immediately draws back, and, like, the composition Bliss Marauders was running, Winston just, like, tears it to shreds. Cast Flashbang doesn't really mean anything to you. You see, like, a Sigma and a Bat and a Cast just all walking together. That's just free cleave, free bubble, so much pressure created. Bliss Marauders had to make some wholesale changes here and lose first point and initial positioning.
Alvin already takes DJW down, so they're just going to struggle on this intake. They're not going to have that extra pressure. But you see right now, Pigwhips has great sightlines on the Ana. Is going to get forced out. Alvin finds Rooney. Meanwhile, that sleep onto Neb, who created a little bit of space for the Ana to stay alive, but they're just not going to have the tools to enter this one. And yeah, they've dropped the toolbox completely.
And it's a long stagger as well. They don't all die at a nice convenient time all together. and Bliss Excelsior, they're feeling a little more confident now. Coming along to key ultimate, Seraphim has to be very careful. I also want Bliss Excelsior to check their positions. Their backline, they did well, but they were a little too grouped up in that last fight for my taste. Goes to thread the needle, not quite going to land it unfortunately, but you're able to basically start looping the Winston here, which generally helps.
Yeah, she's done a good job here on the Widow against this heavy dive. But right now, she's going to be in a lot of hurt, has to use the zipline out, but meanwhile, Alvin is just running the show right now. DJW goes down immediately, is following up on this dive. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry, Pigwebs. We all had to watch that. We did nothing about it. We didn't stand in and stop the cyberbullying, so we're all kind of involved there. 87% means that it's either this fight or nothing. I mean...
Oh, can you stagger? Yes,
yeah,
you will.
There goes the Winston, and that was, I mean, you've got the Nano here to utilize. Zyva still in this, DJW's back on the Soldier, but there's no touch in Excelsior. Yeah, it kind of looks like Marauders maybe lost to themselves a little bit. They kind of underestimated Excelsior on that map.
I think, whether on purpose or not, Seraphim was the perfect bait there. Right, but because when you're playing Widow against a dive comp, it is sort of understood that you're going to be public enemy #1 and you're not going to be able to play the game. But provided that you're not dying, their DPS and their supports, they're so focused on killing you that they can't really do anything about, you know, everyone else. And you could see it right there when you know, Nepu and Larvin just sort of began to run circles around the Bliss Marauders backline. Really dominant here, but we come to Mecha Base to decide things. We're looking at some very different looks. Hard brawl here. One on the... I mean, two very handsome tanks, Mauga and Ramatra. Like, oh my god, both of them are proper biscuits. But which one's going to be stronger on this day has to be determined.
Mauga's just going to slam in there, and Zyva's going to go down. The shot from Seraphim, who... He has just been constant on this hit scan roll, very quickly finding the shots, following up on damage done. They have the advantage here, just getting the time to get through. The Mauga of Marauders is just getting a little bit too low, needs to back up momentarily. Gets Cardiac Overdrive, but again, only really affects themselves, and they're just going to fall apart. Point well flipped to Marauders, but they'll only get a handful percentage before Excelsior take control.
Mauga has this reputation as like a tank shredder, right? And that is true. We've seen what that guy can do to a hog, can just turn him into pulled pork very quickly. But against like a ram, with all the armor and the shield and the block, it's not really good enough to just hard focus the enemy tank. Sometimes they'll be out of position, and yeah, that's valid, but, you know, ram with the Juno healing, with all the armor, with a dead Tracer on your side, which generally helps, you don't have to worry about too much against the Mauga.
Yeah, Rooney's going to go down, so there's a little bit of trade there. But again, my god, Alvin is just on their A-game right now in this Tracer, and what I'm thinking right now is can Excelsior actually do this? Can they actually take a map from Marauders?
That would be spectacular, and that would be a hell of a way to start the series off as well. The DPS have really stepped up from the first map, but everyone's been putting in a good performance. Rally going to be the first ultimate online. Nepu has to be a bit careful because you position yourself in that corner. You're making yourself juicy bait, but Rooney goes into that corner as well and just gets absolutely turned into mincemeat.
Yeah, you know those like little things that you put out for birds, those cylinders filled with like nuts or whatever? That's what Nepu turned into. Meanwhile, there was someone just stood there with an Olympia ready to blast.
Yeah, M14 gang for life. But what we see here, Bliss Marauders, they should be good coming up. They're realizing the Mauga isn't the style that they want. Death Blossom... It works, but it's all about these orbital rays, and Tarkovan just gonna get a little bit quicker here. Could be a problem if Pigwebs can't get theirs.
Final 10%. Orbital ray comes up, Seraphim already find Pigwebs. Beam is out nonetheless. DGW tries to get some trade. Blossom's big enough to get Alvin, but it's overtime now. Everything matters. Seraphim blast down on 1 HP and a full chamber. Point swapped over momentarily by Zyva, who can be nice and annoying. Rooney back on the Lucio, but with those walls down, no cover available. Overtime procced again. Someone else is going to have to touch. Zyva comes in for it. They're going to get out
And you get
safely.
the EMP.
Yeah, the Wrecking Ball is back, but the EMP goes down. You have 5% away from it. It would have been beautiful if they did get it. Now Pigweb's getting forced out by Alvin. Igfin Online does fall to DJW, who's trying to do their best on this side, but Nepu's just going to collapse on them. Excelsior have done it. They just need to clean off the Wrecking Ball. They've taken a map off of Marauders, and suddenly a drop of blood. Could that turn into a full-on wound? Has Excelsior just found what works against Marauders?
And if it bleeds, you can kill it. Just remember that. Now, Bliss Marauders are not out of this just yet. DJW still gets play of the game because come on, look at this. Like, that's unbelievable work, right? But no, this wasn't even just a case. It didn't look like Bliss Marauders were massively underperforming. Bliss Excelsior, they just really stepped up. First map was tough. They were still showing some signs of life, but then I don't know what switch flipped it in the DPS brains there. But Larvin and Seraphim, they just started popping the hell off. You know, that
such beautiful unison together as well.
Yeah, and the backline of, I think, if we had to talk about anything for Bliss Marauders, I think on first point, their backline was never really put under the microscope all that much because most fights just started with DJW killing the enemy from across the map, and when you're the backliner in that, it's like, okay, well, the good news is I have no agency in this fight. The bad news is I have no agency in this fight. And when you get onto something where the Widow's being kept a bit more honest, or even not being played from DJW, the backline suddenly has to fend for themselves quite a lot more. Often it's only really a matter of time when you're being jumped on before you just collapse. But I think that the Bliss Excelsior backline were a lot better at keeping each other up, sustaining each other, fixing a couple of positional errors that they were making, and putting in a really, really good performance here. I mean, for both teams that, you know, apparently really favor the brawl, they got a mean Winston as well. Everyone's got to respect the Storm, you know? That has to be done.
And you know, talking about Blood and Water, like talking about the Winston as well, like Shark, who is the tank of Excelsior. No, sorry, Marauders, right? Yes, because Nepu is Excelsior, yeah. So Shark is how it's pronounced. Sorry it took us so long to figure that one out, but you're not in the system, but there we go. Shark has been doing quite well. Nepu, I'd say, maybe just has the edge. We saw them come out on the Ramatra against Mauga. In the instance where the Mauga wants a cardiac overdrive, obviously the safest option for the Mauga to stay alive is just the tank. If the tank is blocking and taking basically no damage from that, then
you're just healing him.
Yeah, you're healing him. You've cancelled your own thing. You're just not doing anything. So I don't like Mauga right now. I've seen teams really come out on the Mauga, and I have to say I've yet to see it be done well at this.
I think there's to put it bluntly, I don't say this in a I am the GOAT, I know more than you all, you people are stupid kind of way. But again, because of Mauga on release, there was kind of a misconception about how you have to play Mauga, and that is that you spend all your time murdering the enemy tank. Like, he's still good at it, but you know, Orisa or Ram, as we could just see, can deal with that pretty handedly. Even when like they're not just actively ignoring the Mauga, because it can be pretty easy to just ignore the Mauga on a lot of occasions, go straight for the backline. He can't exactly peel for him all that well, especially with the cardiac overdrive nerf, where it doesn't do it doesn't really benefit the rest of your team nearly as much as it did at one point. And with all of the armor, Mauga isn't really about just burning the enemy tank anymore. It's about using the overrun to try and get onto a squishy. You're essentially playing him, as every variant of Overwatch will eventually come down to, a pseudo dive. It's not the conventional one because you aren't jumping, you aren't flying. Like if Mauga could fly, then I would probably just throw myself out the window live on broadcast. But
maybe
like
America
you
can fly
use
on
the
Tuesday with Stadium, but not yet.
Yeah, no, but the stadium's an interesting fever dream type of thing. But yeah, so but no, Mauga it's very much about using the overrun to get onto squishy backliners, and then just sort of using your close range presence to ward off anyone that could try and threaten you specifically. Like you don't have a ton of armor; they changed that, so you're surprisingly squishy. Your hitbox is massive. Sojin and Genji are both really strong in the meta right now, and they absolutely cook a Mauga, right? And yeah, I just don't see the Mauga vision all that much. I feel like I'm a teenage girl writing like a diary of like I hate Mauga, he is ugly or something.
All
like
the
that.
other girls like Mauga, but I don't see it. I prefer
He's
Roadhog.
stupid.
Roadhog's so cute and is always so nice to me. I hope that doesn't get clipped. But I mean, right now I think Marauders on Sanctum it did kind of feel like they played a gambit that just didn't work, and after that they were just on the back foot constantly, especially in terms of the ult rotation. And you can kind of think if they had just from the offset just played their own dive, played their own Widow on Sanctum, maybe it would have been a little bit different. Maybe they would have actually won a fight there, got some control, made it a little bit more competitive. So this is definitely not a situation of, oh, Excelsior's come out of nowhere and is destroying Marauders. Marauders is definitely still strong. They just need to like bunker down and kind of remind themselves who exactly they are. I'm going to start looking to see if I can find any information about when these teams specifically have played each other. See if we can see and find that. By the way, we're just waiting for the players to get ready. Yada yada yada. You know the old drill.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, Marauders 3-0 Excelsior.
Yes.
Who could have seen that was what happened?
So Excelsior are just already ahead of the curve, right? It is as simple as that. They have already done infinitely better than they have done in the past, because 1 is infinitely bigger than 0. Apparently, I'm not a mathematician. I do law, not numbers. But so you have to give credit to them for that. But again, I really don't think this is a fluke. They were looking really good. This wasn't like Bliss was Marauder. I said Bliss, like then both teams aren't Bliss. Like Marauders weren't playing super well, because they kind of were for a lot of it, and Excelsior just played better, and they matched them better individually, and it was really really good from them both. Now we do have.
Yes, yeah. I was just going to double down and say, I mean, Alvin and Seraphim are just playing out their goddamn mind. I mean, Seraphim, she was hitting all the shots that she needed to, whether it was Cassidy or Widow, and you've got Alvin, who isn't maybe as aggressive. I think we saw quite an aggressive style from Zyba, but not so much from Alvin, who definitely was going in a more tempered, controlled pace. Their timing was better on Tracer, so if we see Zyba maybe get a little bit better timing, then that Tracer duel is probably going to look a little bit more even.
Yes, I hope that we like Kings Row, fellas, because Kings Row is exactly where we're going to be going to for our next map. We also have ban information that's come out. Remember that Kiriko and Sojin have been taken. On account of losing that map, Bliss Marauders are going to get the opportunity to ban first. The role that they ban cannot be banned by Bliss Excelsior, so they can always protect their tank pick or protect their support pick or anything like that. And we're even going to do it in fun timer style fashion, which is very lovely here. Yeah, I mean, you got beat on Dive and you got beat on Brawl, and we're going to Kings, and you're probably going to be playing Brawl. If you maybe want to ban, if you're big on the Mauga, then you could try and ban the Ram out. Riss is still an option for you. You could try and maybe ban a Winston, possibly. Winston could like it because they did play around with kind of that brawly Sigma style comp. Hazard makes sense. Hazard can also deal with Malgas pretty well. I was actually really surprised on release because again I still had the old conception of Malga and I thought, oh wait, surely Malga just deletes Hazard in any kind of interaction, but no, it turns out that you can just kind of jump away every 6 seconds and yeah. It's pretty good. It works for you. So tank has also been protected from the side of Bliss Marauders. Excelsior gonna have their time to think about this and decide here. I can only imagine, to be honest. It more makes sense. Brig gonna be banned out. This suggests this kind of puts Brig Juno off the table, which is a pretty brawly backline. It kind of indirectly nerfs the Malga comp, because in the Malga comp you would ideally be running a Juno Brig. It also makes any prospect of an Ana Brig backline in a dive mirror very tricky, and then that forces you to play, you know, some kind of double flex like an Ana Kiri, or just go all in on like Lucio Juno double speed. It's pretty interesting. There's a lot of variation. Shaq. I'm sorry, Shaq. That's crazy. Shaquille O'Neal is going to be playing, as is Attack and Sora.
I love Shaquille
Mogul
O'Neal.
comes in. I loved him in his Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal appearance against the Big Show.
Oh, that's a banger. Not as good as when Mayweather went up against the Big Show. That's a classic. But yeah, you're moving Shark now from the tank position to the support position, and to be able to do that, you have to be a very flexible, intelligent player to be able to do that. Not because it's not like in comp where okay, I'll queue tank now to get some extra. No, it's like this is the organized play. This is the GM tier. You need to have a very intelligent understanding of the game to be able to play both a tank and a support. Zyva moving from DPS to tank, like they were so aggressive as Tracer. What are they going to be like as tank?
Okay, so Bliss Marauders just aren't playing a comp. To put it bluntly, they are playing a niche selection of characters, and Winston and Sojourn is a very, very good matchup into the Zarya. I do not have the vision for Bliss Marauders here, but maybe their vision will be impaired. Maybe it'll be 2020. Who knows?
Well, what I do know is that Seraphim is able to play Sojourn now, no longer banned, because Marauders banned at the first map. Nepu, aggressive dive there, but has the Lucio speed to be able to rotate around. Seraphim already in a great position up on this high ground. Lots of sight lines, going to force Marauders to basically walk into a lot of hurt and pain. Zyva is taking a lot of that. Wall comes up to try and split off, but really he just splits himself off, kind of trading out for Nepu. Zyva's still in here, got high charge, so they can walk the back line. They're gonna let a tick almost happen just as they get Igben online back to spawn.
Stagger kills end up working in the favor. I mean, credit to Bliss Marauders, that fight win, it was built more off mechanics than anything else. Attack gets a really nice pick in the opener, but Bliss Excelsior did a good job of splitting them up, almost winning the fight for that, but in longer fights, Zarya can get that energy and can get that value. So Bliss Excelsior have to go back to the drawing board here. Widowmaker from Seraphim now, and yeah, why not? There's nothing to contest it. Like, literally nothing on Bliss Marauders can do anything about the Widow.
Exactly, she's like, oh, okay, I can just like sit back here and like shoot your heads. So they're gonna have to be a lot more careful, especially with the fact that, yeah, you've got Bubble, but that needs to be timed. Ooh, attack almost went down. Alvin needs to scamper off there to stay alive. Seraphim though is on the low ground, is a bit more vulnerable. Oh my god, just about crouching in time. GGW lost their cowboy hat with that shot. Zyva's so high charge right now, Pulse Bomb just about misses them. They stay alive. That heavy healing backline of having a Baptiste and a Kiriko is just working wonders for them right now. 100 charge as well.
Oh!
Okay! DJW! Oh, that was just unexpected. Seraphim goes into back, takes out Shark as well. now you don't have much healing, just the Baptiste forces Immortality Field. The Bap is super low. Zyver's just trying to keep it alive by being basically a microwave on point! Oh my god, that's so much damage from the high charge Zarya. No one's unable to touch them. Oh, Shark, no! Not again! Almost took out DJW again also. No, like you see headscan players pick Widow and you often think, okay, that's a bit of an ego choice. No, this is just like the correct choice for Seraphim. Blizzard doesn't do much other than stop them from getting the point momentarily as attack is back now looking for their own angle to try and stop that Widow from being able to surprise them. They are going to come in here with a touch. The Kitsune Rush is up and running. It's going to help keep Zyva alive. The point though being forced. Very, very close to being captured. They just need to stay on point now. They cannot be too maneuverable about it. Pigwhip's finding X-Men, DGW finding Seraphim. Meanwhile, the point gets flipped in a fight that was definitely being slowly won out there by Marauders. And now, well, they just need to take the loss.
I mean, Marauders did maneuver themselves. They just maneuvered themselves off the damn objective, Geo, which is not where you have to maneuver when you're trying to play this game. And now we're going to see a switch up. Nepu recognizes the D.Va on the close side and the enclosed environment that you're going to be walking through in the streets phase. Credit to Bliss Marauders for taking as much time off the clock as they did. But I think that the D.Va is going to struggle here. Frontline presence matters a lot on this point specifically, because there aren't really any viable flank angles to consider.
Yes, to quote the other co-caster, it's just the corridor, and the D.Va's going to struggle there. The Kitsune Rush as well from Excelsior pressing the issue, but Zyva utilizing the small amount of high ground here to be able to bounce kind of back and forth, do a lot of damage, and they created a very much what was a chaos fight, and they definitely won off the back of that choice.
Especially because Bliss Excelsior invested the Kitsune Rush into things, and Nepu is really late and is going to get staggered out. The Kiri is more of an interesting choice now because you have a Ram. You can still play aggressive, but if you do want to brawl in like the front line, then Kiri isn't necessarily your best option. Kiri enables faster engages and joining in the dives. In these sustained, protracted encounters, you just don't cut the mustard.
Well, I'll tell you who's cutting mustard, that's Bob. And used as basically the engagement tool, which immediately forces them back, but Excelsior were quick to go back, but oh my god, Nepu dies? You can't just fall over there. That's just something you can't allow to happen.
Well, speaking of falling over, Larvin can be suffering from a similar fate right here. Bliss Marauders, they're feeling themselves a little bit now. Just go to your spawn room. Just go to your spawn room and sit and think about what you've done. Because you've just handed over another 20 seconds of time over to the Marauders here. Not just have you handed time, you've handed over ult and plenty of them to work with. Granted, it is window and 2 bombs. They're not exactly S tier ults, but quantity can definitely trump out quality in situations like this.
That's the window up. Double glaze of pain. Attack is going to find Alvin, who is struggling more as Tracer on this map because there really isn't too many angles that they can be safe from. I really think the Tracer's just not working on this attack. Seraphim's also going to fall to Zyva, who's just allowed to get into the backline and cause damage. They've used a very late sound barrier because they need to. Bomb comes up, the beat actually saves Zyva in the baby form from going down, and it's just been a complete disaster the moment they walked onto the streets, and they're really not going to find too much value here. They have got some push on the bot, but it's up to Seraphim to hit her shots. Zyva again, just in that backline. You need to take out this mech. Finally they do. But Zyva,
you know what, you need to take out the baby as well, not just the mech, unfortunately.
I know, yeah. Well, thankfully, DJW was there as well, so you can make that claim. Gonna get taken out by just the baby. Ikben Online falls, and Pig Whip is going to be the final nail in the coffin. They just could not get past that corner on streets, as Marauders were just a strong wall of defense.
swap the Kiri, swap the Tracer. You aren't using them for anything. You are on streets. You have all the opportunity, and they have a D.Va. You have all the opportunity in the world to just walk at D.Va, punch them in the face, play a Mei if you want, to play a so just pump damage into the front line, have a BAP and then probably a Lucio. And, like, D.Va can't apply any dive pressure to the back. If they have a Tracer on the side, it's just a Tracer. And one Lucio can mark that just fine, right? I'm just, like... The issue of trying to have comps that cover everything is that sometimes they just do nothing. You have a Ramatra, but you have a Kiri, so your Ramatra doesn't get enough sustain in the front line to win out a protracted fight with a D.Va, which you very much should be doing. You have a Tracer as well, but there's no support for your Tracer because your Kiri and Lucio are spending all of their time trying to babysit the Ramatra, who can't break through. Like, you see what I mean, right? It's just like a domino effect of slightly better choices that could be made.
Yeah, and you
This,
think maybe
with a Mei, makes more sense with Excelsior.
I actually like. I've seen a lot of Symmetras get lots of value from just like playing with that kind of brawly frontline. Maybe a Symmetra could have been the answer to the woes there. But Marauders are going to be walking forwards, just taking the statue. Attack going to stay on the Ashe. Seraphim has mashed it though. Have to watch out for the spam of the Mei from Alvin also, who's finally conceded that perhaps Tracer will not be working here too well. Seraphim got a good angle on the point. Going to force Cyber to use a lot of this DM already and going to have to back up. The Mercy choice from Shark is unusual, but it does give Attack a slight edge in a 1v1 against Seraphim. The GW actually getting that boost as well, and that is a lot of damage, but able to take Ickman and Alvin out of it. And now the defenders are the ones that are scrambling to find a way onto point to try and stop it, and DJW is just walking around like the goddamn Terminator and just blasting them off the point.
And so the thing about Mercy, not great. But remember what I said earlier about this isn't a map with many flank angles? That's Mercy's biggest weakness. She's just so vulnerable and very easily killable. But in a situation like this, like, I see the vision. It's a kind of shock and awe tactic where you run double hit scan and you damage boost them and just win the fights before they even begin. I don't think this is necessarily the most effective strat, but you can't argue with results. It's working for the time being.
Alvin has decided that they want to stop it from working and try and find those flank angles. It's going to, again, be difficult on this map specifically, but of course the idea here as a Tracer would be to at least irritate the Mercy enough to create opportunities. That's going to be an engage there from Nepu, who was very, very bold about it, and has taken so much damage on the engage there. They're going to force out their own resources. All of them so low, the continuing rush keeping them alive, but not enough against the extra energy overclock, as they'll just slowly, I'm going to be honest here, dog walk Excelsior on King's Row and look absolutely dominant. This is the team we were expecting to see. This is the Marauders setup that we were like, okay, this is an undefeated team in the regular season. They've only lost one match in the mid-season finals. If they keep this up, then I don't see how Excelsior can really fight them.
The Kiri just don't give you enough sustain. I'm sorry, but that's how it is. Kings isn't... Kings, yeah, it's like a brawl map, but it's one where you kind of have to deal with attrition. It's as we've said, and I will continue to say with a broken record, the backline isn't something that you can just jump over the enemy to get to on this map. You can't go around, you can't go over them, you can't go under them, you have to go through them. And we could see that the BAP, even with a D.Va, again, slightly unorthodox, you're thinking, well, I think realistically, an Ana would have been fine. BAP's a comfort pick for Bliss, for Bliss Marauders, fair enough. But, like, yeah, that healing output mattered a lot because, like, you don't have the opportunity to play a shock and awe Lucio Kiri style on this map. You just kind of sit there and trade with the enemy tank for a while. And when the enemy tank has a BAP who is shoving nades, like, who's just shoving nades into him, that doesn't really do anything from like a girl who's just throwing paper at you. That doesn't really cut the mustard.
Exactly. Honestly, I think the mustard's all over the floor at this point. They've been completely blindsided.
Kendrick would be so mad.
Kendrick would be mad. He loves mustard. That's something I know about Kendrick personally. He loves mustard. But these teams are going to have a couple of minutes there to kind of work out what the next step is. Excelsior, definitely. They'll be going back to the drawing board to get back on track of this one. So don't go too far, folks, as we'll be going to a short break. We'll be right back. We're 1-for-1, tit for tat. Bliss Marauders have felt a little bit of hurt from Excelsior, but my god, did they hit back hard in King's Row. Right now, it's Excelsior that are scrambling on the back foot. They need to find their bearings and try and figure out exactly how King's Row went so poorly for them. Meanwhile, Marauders, with this new setup of players on specific roles, they're looking a lot more like the dominant team we know that they are.
This is like a slightly rhetorical question, but just based off that, were Marauders simply off-rolling map 1? Like, I know that sounds dumb, but I think that's kind of the only conclusion I've reached, because it was a night and day difference between those maps. But unfortunately, like in this exact moment, like I can't recall who was playing what. Like,
so, Rooney's down as flex support, Pigwhip's down as flex support, Attack is down as hit scan, DPS, DGW hit scan. I mean, Shark was tank.
So they weren't even off rolling. Huh. They just turned on their monitors.
Yeah, they just are
reasonable.
Yeah, they just are flexible, I guess, and just have different looks, which again can really work, especially in a ban environment. But we know the map we're going to old classic New Junk City. I say classic with a bit of a smirk, because usually teams will bring us, if they want to go to a Flashpoint, they usually bring us to Servasa. That's typically what we see. But New Junk City, maybe they have a specific setup or a specific hero that they're looking to play here.
They're the same map. Okay. There is slightly more enclosure in New Junk City than there is in Suravasa. I'll be completely honest. Aside from that, it's the same map, right? Like, don't get me wrong. Like, the first point is like very enclosed. Suravasa is a bit more open, but that's the biggest difference, because the kind of the whole gimmick of the Flashpoint is that they will kind of split between points that are like open and like good for range, and the ones which are like more close range and brawly. But so they're the same map. I pick New Junk City. Some people pick New Junk City because they go into like a big, like, oh, let's do like a really cool brawl style, and like we'll play like our Malgas and our Junker Queens and all that. I pick New Junk City because it starts with a sick ass guitar riff. We aren't the same.
Yeah, I pick it because I like hearing the lady say bomb flats, and then I get to say no, not flats.
No, not the street, not street.
And that's my enjoyment for the map, and the rest of it I just kind of like lock out. But
it's literally that meme of like the announcer. Okay, we're going to bomb flats. A kid named Flats.
Poor flats.
Well, flats,
I don't think
man.
the flats didn't deserve this.
Yeah. I don't think. I don't think launching nuclear weapons at flats was on my to-do list today. It's on some people's. That there are intriguing fellas in this world, and they actually just like WhatsApp messaged me this morning saying I'm going to throw nuclear bombs at flats, and then I said no, don't do that. I use like my speech like 100 skill, to do that.
Yeah, I felt like the astronaut in Modern Warfare 2 when they're like very far away watching the EMP go off and like, and then it goes off. It doesn't make any sense physically. Anyway, we've got the bands ready.
Yes.
So Excelsior have banned Lucio. Marauders have been like, well then, you're not going to play Ramatra. So two very much brawl, like, focused heroes here that have been targeted. But of course, you got Juno. So,
Gio, do you know what time I think it is?
Chico time?
I think it's Malging time.
Mountain? No.
I think it's Malging time. Because you banned the because you banned the Lucio, but then you banned the Ram as well, and you're left with a map where Brawl is slightly favored, right? A team that wants to play Malga, a Brig Juno backline probably being your best bet, but also after the last map, I would also just expect Bliss Marauders to play a Zarya here as well. Zarya just works in most. Like Zarya kind of strikes me as the multi-tool tank option right now. Like, what does she provide in utility? Not a lot. Bubbling DPS can help, but yeah, but bubbling your DPS, that's about it. And then bubbling yourself on occasion to walk forward a bit more. Aside from that, you're just another DPS on your team, so you can slot into basically any map, basically any situation, and you'll perform at least decently. However, we're going to be going over things now. So I'm very interested if this is the style that we see, because I think that Queen and Malga is a really interesting matchup. Unlike the other tanks I was talking about earlier, Queen doesn't have the advantage of any armor to mitigate any threat from Malga. So on paper, you think, okay, well, she gets cooked, but she is also tiny. Not that tiny, she's jacked as all hell and like 7 foot tall, but for a tank, she's tiny, and Malga actually really struggles to get that damage in onto him. Aside from that, it's that's the main distinction between these comps that I'm seeing, and I just want to see how these teams decide to play this.
Yeah. Queen is tiny, mummy, tiny. Pulse has come in on the DPS lineup as well, swapping out for attack. So again, Marauders showing that they've got lots of different players, lots of different flexibilities. Alphen is on a sliver of HP. Their soul has almost extracted from their body, but they're still alive. As right now, Excelsior are kind of jabbing away there, just not keeping their distance, but it has not worked out. As before the fight even truly begins, you lose your Juno. Zyva goes in here, they're just bursting down Seraphim, who's got a big chunky hitbox as a Cassidy, and makes it nice and easy for two big miniguns to cause a lot of hurt. To be fair though, Nepu finding TJW, Pulse also down. Zyva's running away from the point to get Alvin, so there was an opportunity there, but Marauders, they're able to hold on.
And I guess the answer to my question, how they play, is patiently for Bliss Marauders, which, you know, it doesn't strike me as the immediate thing when you see a Malga, but yeah, they were really waiting. They were circling around the point. They were just trying to encircle their prey, and eventually they got the Juno into a tough spot, was able to execute the jump onto them. And yeah, that's what it's all about. You don't necessarily want to be trading with tanks, but you also don't want to be trading your supports, especially your main source of healing in this composition, the Juno. Healing up, well, not much longer. I think the DPS have woken up again. They've taken their Adderall. They're feeling good.
Yeah, Martians aren't very good at massive axes being slashed against them, then being shot by evil rifles, Seraphim falling up from that damage, and very quickly getting back in control here, and not needing to use any ults as well.
And I like the adjustment from Seraphim too. I think a Sojourn is slightly better, but yeah, an Ashe works here. You can just... The Cass has to play a bit too close for comfort. Ashe can play the distance, Bliss Marauders comp. Whenever they group up, you get big dynamites, you can charge Bob up quickly. Bob himself is just going to be instantly murdered by Malcolm, but that's semantics.
Cage comes up, and poor Brigada has found himself in the UFC without even applying. DJW gets the elimination for Seraphim, the Queen going to fall, and yeah, if you throw ultimates at a wall, it will destroy the wall.
Yeah, but Bliss Excelsior used nothing there. Sorry. Bliss Excelsior, yeah, they used nothing there. But I'm not sure they'll get the opportunity to recontest. Zyva is in a devious predicament right now, a devious spot, and they could just go aggressive with this orbital ray. Rally is going to have to be the thing to match it out. It's going to have to be the thing that ferries you to the point, which it will do.
It's a ferry of healing and a ferry of hurt. Nepu finding Shark. So even despite the fact that they're fighting against that orbital ray, they're able to win it out based off of the Ragita's ultimate, that rally kept them alive, and they've held on to their own orbital ray for the last fight of this point.
Yeah, I mean, Orbital Ray is one of the best ults in the game, but the Rampage is a strong counter to it. It works really well. There was a Suzu that came out, but unfortunately you had to choose between Suzuing the tank and Suzuing the backline, and you could only get one of them, and the other went down for it. Speaking of going down, that's the point, going away to Bliss Excelsior.
Yeah, Seraphim just paid Bob to just, like, do a hit onto DJW, and it was over.
Mods, kill this man with hammers, immediately. So you still have the Orbital Ray here for Bliss Excelsior, which is going to be the strong ult, and Bliss Marauders have nothing that they can do to work with this. I'm interested, Zyver went onto the Zarya, which actually does work as a decent counter to the Junk Queen, but now it's on D.Va, where the matchup is a bit more wholly neutral. It's almost like you're trying to maybe punish Seraphim or maybe the Juno. I can't imagine anyone else is a particularly easy target to get onto.
Immediately you saw that mech just kind of thunder forward into the back line. Nepu is going to immediately follow because they kind of got split up there, and yeah, you can eat up some of the healing as well with that D.Va Matrix and just cause a lot of hurt for Nepu.
Ooh, late stagger onto Larvin as well. Gonna get even more percentage points. Tark just needs to let rip with his Orbital Ray, because now, like, Shaq is now 50% to theirs, and you're throwing the ult economy completely out of whack here. Like, this is your win button, in effect, right? At the very least, it's going to buy you the space on the point to get a fight win, if not just the fight win itself. That works too.
The mech already gone. Mech made a paper, big pulse bomb. Not finding the follow-up there as it's stuck onto Nepu, and Junker Queen's big, muscly thighs able to just take that one in.
Excuse me?
I don't know what the hell I'm saying. But Dynamite comes in and they're going to follow up. They've got the point. And they, again, have done it without spending any of their check marks.
Yeah, you are getting front page on Overwatch TMZ for that one, King.
Yay.
So I'm gonna eat my words because Zyver went in a bit too aggressive there, and Bliss Excelsior won without any ultimates. So now it's just going to be a cavalcade from both of these teams. Gonna be a lot of check marks coming up, a lot of check marks used. What about these health bars?
The health bars are running low on Marauder's side. They had a great anti-effect on them. I mean, my god, they're staying alive by just threads. I think Pegwebs was on 1 HP for like a solid 10 seconds and is still in this fight. Meanwhile, Bob is going to be the definitive. DJW starting to get really sick of that Butler taking them out, and Seraphim being the savior in the end of the fight.
And it's been online with great discipline there. You don't pop the rally. Like, all those ults go off, your queen falls to minimal HP, and you think, no, I'm holding this rally for a recontest. And it's going to be good because Shark has the Orbital Ray too. Rally isn't going to, you know, nullify it completely, but it can definitely help stem some of the bleeding, which you're not even going to have to deal with because Pulse goes down, and then Zyver gets a pick, but it doesn't matter because you weren't on the point!
Oh my god, I will say this, Excelsior, they have some very risky ult decisions that they're making, but if you don't risk it, you don't get any biscuit, and right now they're all digestives.
I would love a biscuit right now. What? Anyway, Bliss Excelsior, they really are gambling with these ults, but, you know, they're like me at the blackjack table. They just keep winning for whatever reason. Now Nepu already doing a great job to charge up to another rampage, which is going to be coming up soon. And it's been online, just no fear. Rally into the Orbital Ray, walks forward, and calls the members of the Marauders.
Yeah, that is another fight where Orbital Ray was the initiating ult, and they haven't went off the back of it. Zyver's just finally going to go down, and of course is going to choose not to remech there. And now Shark has finally decided, okay, I'm not getting anything done with Juno, I'm going to swap off of it.
Ana, interesting. I like the Ana conceptually, because you should be able to... the idea is obvious. Anti the Queen, stop them playing the game. There's no Kiri on the other side, so your Anti-Nade should land, but this is a map where you can be quite vulnerable, and Larvin just deletes Pulse from the lobby there. Takes DJW out from a distance as well. Another fight win. and not a single ult used for Bliss.
Yeah, I guess I missed the Alvin the Chipmunk movie where all the chipmunks went to Owl and just like won Overwatch League, but like right now this is just dominance, and Bliss Excelsior are again looking like a completely different team. Bob starting out, DJW scampering away to make sure that they don't die again to Bob, but it doesn't work out as they do again a third time. 20% left on this point. They're going to have to invest here. Kitsune Rush, of course, is going to come out, but Seraphim finding Shark and Pig Whipped. No supports left. 4% remaining. You're in the trenches right now, but Alvin does actually get crushed. That Chickmunk under the boot, and Zyva has done wonders to try and turn it around. Just gets back onto the point, but man, there was an orbital ray up. There's a full health Junker Queen. You're gonna go down. Venture just about getting back. They've got some of their movement abilities to stay in it, but that is a very clean 3-0 to Bliss Excelsior, who are basically just saying, no, first map wasn't a fluke. We didn't just get, like, lucky on control. We're here to take maps from you, and we're taking you to match point. It is match point right now. Marauders need to now near reverse sweep. They already have a point. They just now need to win the 2 next maps with no mistakes made.
Like, these teams are even in that they're just trading dominance back and forth. This isn't even like a case of, you know, every map is coming down to the wire. They're really not. The maps have all been one-sided so far. They're just one-sided differently. And it's not even like a stylistic thing. Of course, like, a bit more Brawl has been played because we've seen Kings and New Junk City, but you know, like Bliss could win with the I need to stop saying Bliss. Bad habit, man. They're both Bliss. You know, Marauders would win with the Zarya, or they'd win with the Diva, but they wouldn't win when they tried the Diva again. And then Excelsior will come out with the Junker Queen, and that worked wonders for them. And they could also play the Winston in the first map. But both these teams are really not pulling their punches. This is really, really good work. And I know that you, like, personally were very, very excited to see the Junker Queen, almost arguably too excited for our audience. But, like, it worked wonders, and it was a phenomenal performance that came out. I do question, because clearly Marauders have a strong Zarya. And Zarya works well against a Queen, but they were insistent on playing a Diva who does nothing to a Queen. Like, okay, well, map dependent, so to speak. If there's high grounds to work with, if you're on escort, then yeah, you can just ignore Queen, go on the backline. But this is New Junk City, brother. You can't do that. It's the law of the jungle out there. And the jungle says you're going to stare your tank in the eyes and click on them until one of them dies. And Diva isn't very good at that against a Junker Queen. So I do question the decision-making to stick on that Diva for the entire match. I don't see the vision, you know, like, if you're worried that much about, you know, the Tracer, it might be on your backline to adjust for things which can be a bit more survivable, like, you know, play the Juno Brig, because that's another thing. They were big on the Juno Kiri, which isn't bad, but it has all the general risks of a double flex backline, which is you can get put in a pack by the Tracer. And they did get put in a pack by the Tracer over and over and over again. And then you make the swap over to the Ana because you're so desperate to deal with the Queen, but then you make yourself even weaker against the Tracer. And also, you have nothing to deal with the Ashe either, and it just all falls apart. It's like, I don't doubt that Bliss Marauders have, like, skill in the game, mechanical skill. They know how to play it. But in terms of getting the right tools, you know, you're trying to, you're trying to break down a wall with a spoon instead of a sledgehammer, right?
Exactly, and like, I want to talk about BX here. Like, Bliss Excelsior are doing so well. For a team that in the regular season went 2-6, they had a map differential of -13. They did not even make it to the mid-season bracket, but they are showing that, hey, we have improved. We've gotten better, and you can feel it. You can feel it in the energy and in the bones of this team. And we know the next map we're going to be going to is Rialto now. This is Going to Venice, it's a city of romance, but my god, this is not a romance between these teams. Right now, it's a rivalry. Because Marauders, I wouldn't be surprised if Marauders maybe kind of look down on Excelsior. This is a team we 3-0'd before. This is a team that's bottom of the bracket. We're number 1 in the bracket. Like it doesn't really, like, they maybe were overlooking Excelsior, but right now Excelsior are proving why that, if it is happening, was a massive mistake.
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking about City of Love, maybe it's more like Verona from Romeo and Juliet. That's the only. That is the only kind of way I see this love story ending. We're going to be having a look at the bands as well. This is interesting because, like, personal feelings is I hate Rialto, but that's because I'm a ball player, and, like, yeah, that would do it. A lot of open space on this map, especially first point. Second half it is just complete open space. Second point, if you get stopped at that bridge once, man, it's brutal. It's almost like having to cross wide open space with literally no cover into an enemy high ground with cover. It's insane, and so many teams can just toss themselves against that brick wall over and over again and get absolutely nothing. No Winston either. So this suggests that Winston is one of the few tanks who can kind of cross that distance with some difficulty, of course, but just with at least maybe speed or a Juno ring or something like that can test that high ground. That's not going to be a possibility anymore. Suggest that you want to play something like a Ramatra, maybe even a Sigma, to hold that space instead. Diva. Yeah, Diva. Probably more so on first point than second point, but yeah, Diva is pretty surprisingly decent on open maps, not because she wants to play in the open, but because she can control the space decently well. But now there's not going to be a Widow. And that was a BX ban, actually, so which is interesting because they've had Seraphim on their side, who has been putting in work on the hit scan role, but they don't want to opt into they don't want to opt into a Widow mirror here.
Yeah, they're maybe wanting to go for more of the Sojourn, or we've seen a little bit of the Ash working well. Yeah, maybe they're kind of like calling a shot, like, okay, if you want to ban Winston, then we don't really want to get into a fight where we've got Widows and Divas on the field. Yeah, I think considering how they won King's Row with a Diva, they forced a Diva on Junkertown, well, not Junkertown, Junk City, I would expect by pure pattern alone that unless they're going to be swapping their tank for another player like we have seen, then we're probably going to see the Diva come out again from Marauders, and Excelsior are probably going to be expecting that.
Yeah, you need to run a hit scan here. Like, this is, it's not negotiable, as they say. A Sojourn is required or an Ash is required. There is no other in between if you don't have Widow. Attack is going to come back in for Bliss Marauders. Pulse did put on a valiant performance, but was struggling to get value against Larvan Alvin. It was a tough one. Look, sometimes your opponent just, like, you know, communicates with, like, ancient gods of Tracer, and, like, the spirit of, like, prime 2018 Prophet enters their veins. And it can be really hard to fight up against that. So Attack's going to come back in. You got the win on map 2 with Attack in. It makes perfect sense. But
you saw nothing. You saw nothing.
Okay, we're on a tight ship. We can't even say. Do we say NA production? Because we're European. We do have NA.
We can absolutely say NA production. Yeah.
Shout out to Rhino and Mira, by the way. Shout out to them. They are in the background producing and observing. They deserve their credits. They deserve their dues because they're the ones who are actually doing the hard work.
Yeah, they make us look pretty, and we just like sit here.
No, you make you look pretty. Well, the moment that you were born, that's how it happened. When God came down and blessed you with those luscious blue eyes and that lovely beard.
I came out of the womb beard first, and from them it was just plain sailing. The doctors were so stunned. They're like, "Whoa, what is this? Do we shave this?"
They just tugged on it, and then that's how you came out. That's wild.
Yes, they tugged in the beard. I appeared. I'm like Peter Pan. One of my beard hairs is actually where my magic comes from. So please don't shave my beard, because then
Is it just one of? Is it just one of the hairs? Is it like Samson, where like it's the beard as a whole? Or is it just one? So you could shave half of your beard, and there's like a 50-50 chance you'll keep your powers, and then 50-50 it's gone.
Yeah.
Why is this the case?
Like Grog Strongjaw from Critical Role. Well, it's like Peter Pan. He has one magic hair, right? I'm not forgetting that lore. I'm pretty sure Peter Pan has one specific hair that is magic.
I do kind of believe you, but I was in like a Peter Pan stage play when I was a kid, and I don't remember that.
You know, that doesn't surprise me. Were you Peter Pan?
No, I multi-rolled. I was Wendy's. I was Wendy's son. Like, because like they started it like to explain the story. It was like Wendy explaining it to her son, and I was Wendy's son at the start, right? But I was also a lost boy.
Well, I'll tell you who is.
I was like 9-10 years old, man. Anyway, speaking of lost boys, let's see whether Bliss Marauders are going to be lost out here in Italy. Looking at these compositions, Sigma from Nepu, Diva from Zyva, pretty expected. Ash and Sojourn from Bliss Marauders, so they are really demanding control of this open space, and they're gonna take it. Not to deal with close angles, but you know there aren't that many of it at this juncture of the map.
We've seen this double head scan performance from them before, where it was on King's Road. They kind of really just doubled down and just like packing in that extra damage. DJW though, taking a little bit of parts. As you see Nepo just going up there a little bit, just controlling that high ground momentarily. Easier done when you're a Diva though, so Excelsior will struggle momentarily with this high ground disadvantage. Tag and DJW just immediately go down to both DPS. Shark has tried to get a trade there, getting Alvin, but it's not an equal trade, so you see Marauders, they're going to have to decide to back up, and Shark taking a bit of a risky angle here, because if they get found out, they could just get collapsed on, although there's not really any speed right now on Excelsior.
That can't feel great for Zyva, because they were doing a really good job of like controlling that high ground, keeping the Ash and the Sigma in check when they went up there. But they slipped through the cracks once, and one opportunity is all that's needed. But either of these teams, Big Whips decides, you know what, I'm going to take things into my own hands for the time being.
Yeah, Ikbin offline, as Seraphim sent away as well with that nade. Massive sleep. Shark, who initially played tank in the first round, has shown that they are a very sharp shooter on the Flexible.
I see you.
Yeah, and that's half the time already gone. That is how brutal Rialto can be for you. Bliss Excelsior, they've not really worked up to that many tools. The nano boost, but you don't have like a super obvious nano target in this comp. Zyva? Wait, but you were still in the mech. Were you like booped off the map with an accretion or something like that?
I'm not.
Because Zyva wasn't demeched. Zyva just died, like straight up.
Yeah, I feel like I blinked and I missed it. This is where I really wish we had like 1,000 observers and we could replay it. But Zyva is back, so they are fighting at car. Kitsune Rush is going to force Nepu to make a decision. That Nano is going to help that decision as they're going to continue to pressure forward. Yeah, Flux finds, absolutely nothing but air, but the DPS line are pushing the point and getting the eliminations, and despite the fact that attack has actually equalized this fight, they're on the next point. The point got pushed.
Oh no.
Oh yeah, well, that had to be what happened.
Dude, gravity is a harness, but unfortunately, they just threw the harness in the bin, which is quite unlucky. Nepu going to be moving over to this high ground, and now you have a Sigma matchup. I think it's fairly neutral. It does depend on how much distance you can close. It's easy to wait out the bubbles as Sigma, but it's also quite easy in the same vein to kind of bait that aggression and walk in. And Tag just gets deleted, bro. What was that?
a determined confidence coming out from Alvin there, where they were just determined to get that opportunity that they saw. They've opened it up for their team. They're blistering forward now. You see Seraphim hitting that dynamite, causing a small concern. Another opportunity for Alvin, who places the pulse bomb gently onto DJW, blows them all out of the fight. Now Zypa's struggling to even push through as a Zarya. Seraphim has gotten the headshot on to Attack, who did get vengeance from beyond the grave with the damage ticks of the dynamite. They are struggling with a very high charge Zarya right now. Zyva has won the fight for them, but the point was pressed nonetheless.
Yeah, Shark was on the high ground there, and that was really crucial. Was able to continue to pump healing without that Ana position there, and, you know, Sigma being distracted. You can't ignore the full charge Zarya in front of you, but you can't do anything about the high ground either. But sorry, wait, hang on, I completely forgot. They just took the point in that fight anyway, so it was all kind of for nothing.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure at what point the point got captured, but Zyva still continues to be high charged nonetheless. Too low HP though, will fall. Extra charge on the overclock here, but DJW has to contend with an aggression. That's a nanoed Sojourn, that's deadly. Nepu has practically solo fluxed them just to stop the follow-up, as Attack is going to have to force back here with that nano hitting them. Alvin though is going to struggle a little bit more on this point because there's a little less lanes that they can use to find opportunities.
Yeah, and Nepu is going to swap over to the Hazard here, which is quite reasonable. You're going to struggle for one fight into the Zarya on account of the fact they still have all their charge and a grab to throw at you, but you're going to be a bit better after that. Bliss Marauders also going over to a Tracer of their own. Yes, you don't have many lanes, but also, like, this is a really enclosed environment. Something like a Genji would kind of be perfect, possibly even a Venture in a situation like this, but in lieu of that, Tracer will have to do. And hang on a minute, Igbin online.
Whoa.
I mean, you had the moves, but unfortunately, Attack had more of them.
Yeah, a little bit of the Mirror's Edge parkour there. It just so happened that there was a very relentless Marauders who want to capitalize here. This Hazard swap is interesting, but again, the bubbles are just going to stop any follow-up to any of these dives.
I knew that all that time in Rialto parkour was worth something. But Bliss Excelsior going to be able to push forward. Early grab here. Is the rally going to be enough to live?
Wall. Yeah, the wall and the rally together, because there was an anti-nade that was placed there. If it wasn't for the wall, I don't think the rally would have been enough. Considering Rush also used there along with the grab, but they've only found Alvin, who kind of mistimed that engage, was in alone. To be fair, I don't think they were expecting that grab on surge to be used so aggressively. DJW takes them out, and yeah, Seraphim is finding great angles on the Bob. Right next to point there has forced that angle enough that they've found a little bit. Oh well, obviously Seraphim didn't go on Rialto parkour enough.
Yeah. Yeah, only one player in this lobby is the true progenitor of Rialto parkour. Nano here from Tarka. You can now pop this onto your Hazard and then just turn him into a, you know, big Scottish battering ram to just destruct the enemy team. Shark going to be getting up to a nano of their own as well, however, so it's going to be a battle of the nanos here. See which can come out on top. Nice peel to come out from the Diva.
Yeah, it was a deep fried dive there, but you saw Zyva working like a doctor with that Diva Matrix to stop anyone from eating the deep fried goodness. Seraphim has taken DG down, Nepu falling. They have kind of struggled to find the follow-up on these Hazard dives, and with 20 seconds remaining, it's very much looking like we're not even going to see them retouch here, never mind capture that third point. As soon as they got to this third point, they just completely fell apart.
Nepu got really eager there, and I see the vision, but now you have to be looking to this point, but you have to be fighting into a Bob. You go forward, even with the rally, you're being shot from all sides, you're not going to be able to get a lot done. Stopped just short of third point. That's the win condition set out.
My god, Attack looks so good there. They were just landing those shots from those awkward angles with the coach gun, and of course the Bob working very well. I mean, they just got to that third point and they kind of didn't know how to continue. They swapped onto the Hazard, which if I'm being honest, I didn't love, not for this point where it's much more of like a hard choke in a corridor against a Zarya who's getting very high charge. It's like, what are you really going to do there as a hazard?
It's a really tough point. So this is it's a reasonable attack for Bliss Excelsior. Stopping just short of third, like, yeah, pushing all the way to the end of Rialto is really difficult. It's such an awkward point because it's so enclosed and you're on the hit scan style, and like when you're on the attack you have a sight line through onto the point, but your vision is mostly obscured by the payload and the walls. And like if you enter the Thunderdome at all, you're just gonna get your head taken off of you. So Bliss Excelsior are going to do some double hit scan of their own right now. Ana Brig, a very reasonable backline, is definitely going to ward off the D.Va. So Zyva here has to be mostly playing to just kind of shut down these hit scans rather than really go for the backline. Brig can essentially just kind of neuter a D.Va.
And the fact, yeah, Netu on D.Va, we've seen them avoid that D.Va choice for so long that, you know, Zyva's so warm on the character, clearly very comfortable. You have to put into question how comfortable is Netu going to be. Well, Alvin's very comfortable not playing Tracer for a bit as they actually find basically taking that double hit scan DPS lineup and using it against Shark, who has swapped off of Niana onto Lucio here, actually going for a Lucio carry backline now suddenly as they want to just explode forward. Zyva just doing their best to kind of clean that high ground, dangerous position there for Pig Whips, but thankfully their little bacon wings can fly. They TP'd away just in time as they just continues to be a war of attrition and poke here.
Yeah, with the Lucio Kiri, you are literally playing to explode your opponents immediately. But if you can't do that, then there's Hitscan on the other side that have the space. There's a lot of open space on Rialto for a reason, and it is a Hitscan paradise because of that. You know, there's a world in which Seraphim and Alvin just never get pressured out. And I want to see how Bliss try and scale onto this backline. Well, not with a Tracer on their side.
Yep, now Shark is alone on that angle as the Lucio trying to cause at least distraction. Attacking looking to poke from these awkward angles because right now they're just struggling to get control. Oh, that was a very questionable drop from Alvin, and they're only alive because Attack missed their shots. Nepu will take Zyva out, and again the defense can kind of relax here and just deal with this Tracer nice and quiet.
Yeah. I wanted that bounce. I hit the Tracer twice so bad, just delete him from the lobby, but we don't always get the things that we wish for. But no, Bliss right now just showing a masterclass in kind of space control. Yes, the kills from Alvin help, but it's just like the threat of the distance that you have. When Seraphim is forced into that awkward position, however, that's when you can strike.
Yeah, DGW working wonders there. The Sunni rush in this corridor trying to look like Darth Vader in Rogue One, but right now Alvin has the force within them and has equalized here. Overclock is ready to be pulled as Ixton falls. Tark is alone, and that loneliness will lead to them falling over as Zyva finds them. In fact, Zyva's actually went down as their mech got hit by the bomb, and they got taken out by that railgun shot. The tank presence, like you say, is on the side of Excelsior as the Marauders are just kind of falling flat at the end of this attack, and they'll need to go back to the drawing board, and they only have 1 minute to make this work.
Zyva simply could not have gone down there. It's the worst case scenario because that point, like, even if you have numbers on your side, when there is a tank just obnoxiously sitting on the payload waiting for spawn to get back, you can't break it without a tank of your own. It's that simple. And you also can't break it without an Ashe, because Alvin has just gotten rid of him from the game again.
It does not matter to dwell on a poor performance in a regular season if on the day of a playoff match you're going to show up like this, because they're doing exactly what they need to do to beat Marauders. They're doing exactly what they need to do to go forward into a winner's bracket, but DJW has a punishment in mind. they are going to take Tark out. They were 75 to Nano, and of course you don't have that Ana for the nade, you don't have it for the healing. The Bob going to come up just for stall, but you've lost your mech as well, so suddenly this very good first point is starting to slip away. Overclock by Alvin, but they don't have the angles to find anyone. They just about find attack, so they have gone a little bit of a trade, and they've taken too long on the attack, Marauders have, because Bliss Excelsior are blistering back. The Doomfist coming back as quick as they can. The Nano is ready. They put it onto their Sojourn. The bomb just about doesn't take Alvin out because of the Nano. The overtime ticker is taken away, and against the best team in the regular season, against the what many would have said were the better half in the Bliss org, Excelsior, BX, they have shown everyone exactly what they're made of. 3-1 against Marauders. That's exactly what Canados did against Marauders. And now you're thinking, if they play like this, they can probably beat Canados and they can probably get to that grand finals.
Ah, shades of the Philadelphia Fusion from Marauders right there. What happened? You were dominant. You played these guys like 2 weeks ago. You put them in a pack. You sent them home. You sent them crying to their mums and dads saying, I hate this stupid game Overwatch. I don't want to play anymore. And then they turn around beat you like that. Like, this is to take... I do say that, but ultimately, this isn't... Look, Bliss Marauders might have their choking problems. They might need the Heimlich maneuver badly. But Bliss Excelsior, they were insane. They were just nuts. It's as simple as that. I wasn't too active for the regular season on account of my whole computer having exploded for 3 months kind of situation. But like, I want to go back and see footage of Bliss Excelsior because I truly think those would just be two completely separate teams. I think I actually covered Bliss Excelsior's final match in the regular season against DYS Fracture. And I absolutely did. I just checked it right now. And it was a dominant 3-0 for Fracture. It wasn't even close. But and now Bliss Excelsior are just coming out and winning. Like, what the hell?
They have earned every bit of this victory. They have shown incredible improvement. They have been playing to the absolute peak. And a lot of it is to do with, recognizing we have a strong DPS lineup. Like, they are strong. And it basically puts into the situation where it's like, okay, well, let's give them that space to work with. Let's work on that and work together as a team. And they were working really, really well, especially on Rialto defense, where Nepu showed that he can go to the Diva and he can do really well. He can match the energy that was coming from Marauders, and in this massive upset, this is looking great. I mean, I'm looking at the bracket right now. Obviously, we know their next matchup is going to be against Canados. Canados, they had a bit of a trip up at the end of the regular season, but again, they're continuing to show that they are the playoff champions, or the mid-season champions. Now they're up against Excelsior. Man, that's going to be a banger of a match. That winners round 2 between Canados and Excelsior, like, damn, that's going to be huge. Obviously, it'll be Marauders versus Fracture now in the losers. Marauders, they can definitely have the comeback. That's for sure. But we're going to have a short interview with Nepu, the tank of Excelsior, and we'll be right back with that interview in just 2 minutes, folks.
Our inside here, you know, you get an insight and you know something, you know, but you don't want to say it out loud because you're kind of afraid that it's not going to be really true and it'll spoil the whole thing for you, you know. But when somebody makes you say it, then, and it's true, then it just makes it more beautiful of a thing.
Lots of love, love. Got 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 lots of love, love.
Water is the softest and most yielding substance, yet nothing is better than water for overcoming the hard and rigid, because nothing can compete with it. Lao Tzu.
Name straight, new wave. Name straight, new wave. Name straight, new wave.
We say the phrase on paper a lot, especially when we look at the stats and the numbers when comparing teams that we've maybe not seen too much on broadcast and trying to see who exactly is going to be the favourite to win it. Well, today, that paper, throw it out the window, put it into the recycling, because that didn't matter diddly squat. Bliss Excelsior have absolutely outdone themselves today. They've sent Marauders to the lower bracket, and they've sent themselves forward in the winner bracket in a wonderful 3-1 victory. And we have the tank player Nepu with us today to get a little bit of insight into the team. First of all, thank you for joining us, and congratulations on the win.
Thank you so much. Sorry, I'm smiling from ear to ear right now. I feel overjoyed.
As you should, brother.
I love to hear it. I mean, again, my first question is just going to go off of that. Like, how is the team feeling? I mean, on like the history of the team, like Marauders, by all rights, is the better team. But today, you guys just showed up. What was that energy like in the VC? Or in the comms when you were winning?
A rush of emotions, to be honest. I think we came into the playoffs seeing that we were facing Marauders, and we were like, yeah, we faced them a couple times. We've been absolutely squashed every time. You know, if we lose, we lose. But I think we went into the game with the mentality of, we have nothing to lose. We came in against the best team, or one of the best teams, and we did what we did. Each map, every time we won, I feel like it got more and more ecstatic. I think after New Junk, I was like praying, watching people running towards the point, like, don't touch, please don't touch, let's go! I was, yeah, I guess just constant happiness, I guess, joyous whimsy.
I love that.
Joy. God forbid no Overwatch player have some joyous whimsy in this crazy, crazy world. But it was a phenomenal performance, and yeah, to be, if we're being blunt, the regular season not the best for you guys. But as we were saying over and over again in the broadcast, right? That doesn't mean a damn thing if you don't show up on the day, and you guys showed up in a big way. So I'm going to ask you, what do you feel like the biggest difference maker was from your regular season to this matchup today? Is it a mental thing or something maybe in-game, an adjustment that you made in terms of scrims or comps or anything like that?
I think partially just a general improvement over from like since the end of the regular season to now. We've been scrimming a lot, we've been working on ourselves. I think, as you probably saw, especially on like King's Row, where we tried to flex onto things we weren't necessarily comfortable with, I think we do that a lot of the time when we don't know what to do necessarily, or we think we're against a better team and we're losing and we think we have to specifically counter one thing. But I think for a lot of these games, we just, if one of our players was like, I want to play this certain hero, Rialto, Larvin basically said, oh, I kind of want to play double hit scan. We were like, yeah, sure, let's rip it. If you're comfy on it, if you don't feel good on Tracer, let's just send it. They did it, we can do it as well. So I think just and also a mental thing, it doesn't feel as pressure, I guess. I don't know. I guess it wasn't as bad pressure for us as normal. I'm not sure why, despite it being a playoff game. Yeah, I think that's mainly it.
Well, you just took one of the best teams in the tournament and you just boxed them up, right? You did have that map loss, but let's be honest, any of the maps that you won weren't like particularly close. Busan, sure, you lose a point. Aside from that, it's dominance on your end, right? And that's one of the best teams in a tournament. So I say to that, right, that is the present. What are your expectations in the future, looking forward towards more of these playoff games?
Oh, we're winning all of them. 3-0, 3-1, we will decimate every single one of them.
Not even a 3-2. Wow. Okay. That is...
maybe a 3-2. Maybe if we're feeling merciful, if we are feeling like we want to give them a chance, maybe we reverse sweep. Who knows?
I see. So just win every game completely uncontested. You know what? Fair play, lad. I'll be there cheering you on when you do it. I'll buy you a pint of sign. How about that?
I love that. I mean, I just love the energy, and I love the enthusiasm in your voice as well. I can tell that, like a lot of times we'll see a team that's the team that's probably going to lose, looking at the history, and they kind of come in with a kind of very like overly nonchalant kind of attitude and kind of like waddle in and kind of like do the job like they're going to the office to 9 to 5. But like this energy that I'm feeling from you and therefore from the rest of the team, I'm absolutely loving it. Tell us a little bit about the team. Like, when did you guys, really start? Have you guys been around a while? Have there been like new players introduced? Like, what's the kind of background on Excelsior?
So I think BX has been a thing for a fairly long time. I joined, I want to say maybe 4 months ago, maybe a few months, 3 to 5 months roughly. We had a lot of new inclusions as well. Tark, especially. We had a couple others. Carlos, who didn't get to play. I believe Mogul, Larvin, Ichbin, Seraphim, all were with the team for at least a lot longer than I was. So we were, I guess, a fairly fresh team to an extent, in that we were trying a lot of different comps, seeing what we were flexible with, seeing what we were comfortable with. Early on, it felt a bit iffy. I definitely was having doubts. This was my first time like trying scrims, trying competitive, I guess like semi-pro-esque stuff. And it felt down at times, but I think a lot of the time I just remembered that I needed to rally the team a lot. I think having some kind of enthusiasm with myself gives everyone a little boost, so I'm not just being some like crazy pessimistic, like, oh, we're gonna lose, GG, it's over, like they've won 2 maps and like, there's nothing else we can do. I'll always try to rally the team and everything. I think everyone bounds off of that a lot, bounces off, and you can see it a lot with their play. I think we were so happy and everything, and I think we were doing coordinated plays. We were going in fairly consistently. A couple hiccups, but yeah. Besides that, I think it was. I fear I've trailed off a little bit there, but yeah, that's basically what I want to say.
No, I love it. I mean, as an optimist myself, I always hate it when I hear people say, "Oh, negativity like spreads like wildfire, etc." So it's positivity. It's just the opposite end of the spectrum. Like, if you're a very positive, outlooking person, then that is going to spread to the rest of the team. That's going to help them stay on point. So it is absolutely like a massive boon, especially for an Overwatch team. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
I do have one kind of bonus question. Just out of curiosity. Let's talk about Alvin real quick. Love Alvin, right? What did that guy have in his Weetabix this morning? Like, what was that? What was that?
I noticed it on Busan immediately. Every time I was like thinking, oh, I can maybe go on this target, I need like someone there. I was like, Larvin, I'm jumping this guy. I'm jumping the Ana, I'm jumping the Brig. He's there. He's already there. He knows what I'm doing. He reads my mind. 100%. The Weetabix, he has had his vitamin gummies. I'm not sure what to say. It was a beautiful performance.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, Larvin is on TRT, confirmed. That is unbelievable. Forming a psychic link with your teammates is how you succeed. Clearly.
Exactly. I mean, you talk about Alvin. Like, are you telling me that I now need to go and play Overwatch and pretend that I can hit half the shots that Seraphim can? Like, you're telling me that I now need to like compare myself to greatness when I'm trying to scrape my little drives for the rest of the weekend. That's good. That's gonna. I'm gonna need a lot of positivity in my games. But to finish it out, do you have any shout outs or call outs you'd like to make on stream?
Not necessarily any major call outs. Shout outs, I want to call out on shout out the entire BX team. Everyone, Mogul, Larvin, Ichbin, Tark, Sarah, Carlos, Kran, everyone who has been able to play these last few weeks and constantly deliver on scrims, on being available, on communicating with how we should play. We have a coach called Rimu as well. And I want to thank him because he spoke to me just before the game, basically, to go over some very small points, but so crucial. And it feels like everything he says, I just floods my mind with information. And yeah, I think that's it mainly for shout-outs, but I want to thank everyone.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Nepu, for joining us. We'll let you get back to your team so you can celebrate. And I'll tell you what, I have a new favorite team to keep my eye out on. I'll be very keenly interested in this GM tier to see how it happens, especially in your next match against Kanedos, who won the mid-season. So that'll be an interesting matchup to see you bring the energy against them. So good luck with your next match.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me, guys. Have a wonderful day, night, wherever you are.
And you.
Take care.
You too.
Take care. Thank you. Thank you. Well, the question at the start was like about the battle of siblings, and today it seems in the battle of Romulus and Remulus, we forgot one thing. Their coach has Reem in their name. It was there. It was written from the beginning. So if you ever want to go to Italy, I guess we're going to Reem in Italy because the history books have been rewritten today. And now I'm going to go about the rest of my night watching WrestleMania all joyful because I saw an underdog go at it and actually accomplish what they were looking to do.
Like, you know, like, do you have a sibling, Gio?
I've got 5.
Are you younger, older, somewhere in the middle?
I am the oldest, and I have 4, not 5. I counted myself.
Oh, okay.
I am the oldest.
And like, so here's the analogy I'm because I'm a younger brother, right?
Mhm.
And when you're a kid, you always lose to the older brother in any kind of fight, right? Like not in a deep way, but like obviously you fight as you do, and older brother always wins. He's bigger, he's stronger. But then one day you just get him, and that's what's happened today. And Bliss Excelsior are younger brothers who have just beat up older brother, and now they go down to the losers bracket, clutching their jaw, thinking, "Oh God, what kind of monster have we created?"
Yeah, that is true. I used to throw about my brothers with one hand each when we used to play wrestle, but now I guess as the older brother here representative, then I guess we'll take the L. But like you said, for Marauders, it's not over. There's a loser bracket run. It's not also over in terms of this just being the only CGL competition, because next weekend, Kunichi will be coming for the weekend there with different tier levels. You've got Diamond, Masters, and Open tiers, Console and PC, NA. Is there an EU one? It says NA there, so I'm not sure.
I guess not EU.
I guess screw us. But April 25th to 27th, Kunichi Cavalry. So definitely check that out. If you're in the CGL Discord, you can find information about it in the respective announcement channels, etc. If not, then what are you doing? Join the Discord. Like, come on.
What are you doing?
But alas, that is it from us today. Thank you to Mara and Rhino for running production in the back end and making us casters look all nice and make it look like we know what we're doing. Thank you, Edgar, for joining me in this wonderful match. It's been brilliant to cover, and that is it from us. My name has been Gio. Don't forget to laugh loud and love yourself, folks. Good night.
Other side.